Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. Welcome to MFSN, the Hub's Fantasy Baseball Strategy Show, Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. I'm Dr. Dan Ratner, and I'm here as always with Casey, Vlad to the Bone, Scheinvold, and Ross the Boss.
Hey, everybody, Ross the Boss coming live from La La Land, California. And we have baseball for you. We have NFL draft for you. We have NBA playoffs. We have Stanley Cup playoffs. We have everything you want here on the channel. But will we talk baseball more than anything today, right, Dr. Dan Ratner? And we're excited you're here. It's a special treat to have you here.
Treat to have me here? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
I must have been delinquent.
You're like I know you guys. Star. I mean, you're like Elijah in Passover. You're like, we compare you to Elijah in Passover.
I know everybody talks about Elijah's like he's so great, but he never shows up.
I know I have abandonment issues because of him.
But I will say, there's a lot going on in the sports world. We could touch base on the NFL draft mostly, but people are mostly turning in for a fantasy baseball strategy show. So of course we'll stick to that mostly. And as we know, the landscape shifts daily. So I want some updates from you guys in terms of what you think are the main headlines here and shifts. Before the show, Ross, you were mentioning one injury you wanted to mention. Go ahead. Let's talk about that, and then we'll get into others.
It was just the minor one. It was just the pitcher from Boston,
Brian Bayo.
Brian Bayo.
And what is the injury?
Pitcher. Something with his arm. I mean, they weren't. What I read wasn't that clear, but it's 15-day DL. It's just, I just said that because
it's right lat tightness.
Yeah. So I don't know, but again,
that's
another guy in the DL. The good news is Bueller's coming back next week, which is good. Valdez for Houston should be back soon. I mean, those
Ozzie
are both.
Albies is coming back.
Brian
Ozzie's
Wu is coming back.
Woo,
Your boy Vaughn Grissom is coming back.
Vaughn Grissom, the shortstop for the Boston Red Sox, will be back soon. He's doing a rehab stint right now for the Red Sox. So there's a lot of good stuff. And a feel-good story today is the Reds, my favorite team. We were playing the Phillies today, and bad news, we lost. But good news is Harper came back from paternity leave, and his first at bat, he hit a home run. How about that? Good for him.
That's dad for you.
Yeah, dad.
I love it. Dad power, baby. Dad power. But stuff like I love those feel good stories, guys. I so much horrible things going around in the world, but to hear that is just a nice thing.
Definitely nice. Now I can't remember when Tristan Casas went down. Was that last week? It's a blur now.
Sometime either the end of last week, beginning of this week.
I think it
Monday,
might have been.
Case, we talked about it briefly in our show.
I can look it up if you'd like.
Yeah.
So
I think Monday.
Suddenly he left the game with a rib injury, and now he has a fractured rib. He didn't get hit in it though, right? Was it just the torque of a swing?
He coughed really hard. I don't know. Honestly,
I don't know. He tripped on the soap in the shower. I mean, these guys go down.
When I draft a player in two different leagues, they're guaranteed to get injured. I mean,
do you remember when Blake Snell got hurt because he was in his bathroom getting in the shower and he dropped something on his toe, and he ended up missing like a month and a half or so?
I didn't remember that.
Snell. Yeah.
I remember when Ken Griffey Jr. fell in the shower and he was out for like a month. I remember that. I mean, that's horrible. And also Corey Seager was hit by a pitch, his shin, and he has like a shin concussion. I mean, it just doesn't stop. There's injuries happen every day.
That's why in fantasy baseball, you can't take a day off with the waiver wire and trades and stuff like that, because your roster might be awesome, and then 2 days later, your two best players are on the IL and
I mean,
weeks.
A good example is Bellinger's. I mean, he's one of my best players in our fantasy league, and now he's on the IL. It just doesn't stop.
Cody Bellinger, is that what you said?
Yeah, he's out.
But he's not even having a good year, is he? I thought he was slumping.
He's going to heat up. He's doing pretty well.
This is a guy who didn't.
Hope springs eternal.
That's right.
The way he was talking about it.
The wind blows out in Chicago, but it's just guys.
Yep.
I'm telling you, that's why it's important to watch our show, because we will tell you guys who to pick up when your guy goes down.
But speaking of injuries, and I'll relate it to our cover boy. We had Mike Trout on the cover today because he, I guess, is if you look in the picture in the dictionary or encyclopedia of the guy who you always say, if he would stay healthy, he's the best player in the world. Like Mike Trout,
so far
I think is proving it, because imagine what his numbers would be if he didn't miss the better part of like 3 or 4 seasons because of back issues and other injuries.
And remember when he used to steal bases also?
I know.
Well, he's doing it now. He has 6-7
Because
stolen
he's
bases
healthy.
already.
Oh, he's back to stealing. I didn't even notice that.
Well,
I don't
that's
have
the
him in
reason
any
you have
leagues.
me and Casey. Casey and I know
Well.
every stat of every player who quizzes us right now. We know every stat. Everything.
I mean, this
I
is
can
just
look it up.
It's just a little tip. You know, you can. The fact that I didn't know that, it shows you he's not on any of my teams right now. But it really is a good idea to go through and scan different teams and just see what's happening, because players are going to surprise you, and you may want to trade for them, or you may see that somebody's slumping and you want to trade to buy low. All right, we got a question coming in. Is Pep Guardiola the biggest waster of talent in Champions Leagues? If Ross the Boss had these historic rosters, he would have 6, 8, maybe even 10 titles. Do you know what he's talking about?
I do. Now he's talking my language. I'm the original football guy.
I like Arsenal. That's my team.
You said we could chat about anything currently in motion.
I'm a Gooner too, Ross. So I'm an Arsenal fan. Always have been.
All right, we have Arsenal fans here.
Back to the days of Thierry Henry.
I got breaking news. Jordan Walker was sent down, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
But to answer Chris's question, I don't know if you could say he's the biggest waster of talent in the Champions League, because the question is, are those guys historic rosters because of Pep Guardiola's ability to develop them, or are they just that good regardless of who the manager is? Certainly their roster. He's talking about Manchester City, who won the treble last year, which means they won the FA Cup, the Premier League, and the Champions League. And this year, they're probably going to win the Premier League again, although they did just get knocked out of the Champions League.
So I'm going to ask a question, though, that I think a lot of other people are asking, which is, who is Pep Guardiola?
Pep Guardiola.
I'm kidding. No, I didn't want you to answer.
Well, arguably the greatest manager of all time. He was the manager of Messi's teams in 2007, 8, 9, 10, when Messi and Barcelona won everything. He then went to Bayern Munich. And Bayern Munich in Germany became the best team in the planet for a while.
Wow.
Now he's at Man City, and suddenly Man City's the best team on the planet. So it's hard to say that he's a waster of talent where everywhere he's went.
I didn't know you were this excited about it. It
I
sounds
love
like you're
soccer.
talking about prospects.
You just woke Casey up. He hates, we talk basketball.
Like,
he falls asleep. He talks this. He's unbelievable.
Chris, we can talk as much as you want, maybe off this show, though, because I think we're losing our audience if we talk too much football.
All right. Chris did say 2 titles in Barcelona and 1 in Man City. Okay,
Yes.
we can get back to that in a little bit, but I just heard Ross mention Jordan Walker got sent down. We got a question on.
He also won the treble in Barcelona, by the way.
Oh my God, they can't.
Okay, enough soccer.
But he's trying to knock the man down. So
I see.
Okay, the only time I watch soccer is twice: the Olympics, and I'll watch the World Cup. And that's it. I don't care about MSN.
2026 World Cups in the United States.
We're going to Philadelphia. Yeah, Casey Scheinfeld. Don't worry, we'll be at your house.
Don't worry, guys. We're gonna get this show back on the rails soon.
Thanks.
All right. So Jordan Walker, he got sent down. We had a question. Somebody asked us, "What do you do with Jordan Walker? What do you do with him now that he's been sent down?" In redraft leagues, I think you just have to cut him.
You drop him.
But what do you do with him in keeper dynasty?
In keeper leagues,
22 years old.
If you have if you have an NA spot, you put him there. In dynasty leagues, you hang on to him because he's still too talented.
Dynasty, of course.
He's a young kid. He's struggling. Well, I get it.
Not only that, but in keeper and dynasty leagues, it's not like you're going to be able to trade him for anything right now.
Right. And in keeper leagues, if you drop him, he's not a keeper next year at this point, unless he comes back in July and is suddenly Mike Trout. He's not going to be a keeper. Yeah. Even if he comes up and does well in September, he's somebody, unless they have a really shallow roster, he's not a keeper. So you can draft him again next year.
Chris Atwater said, you trade Walker to Atwater. That's him. If you're Dr. Dan, Chris and I did engage in a trade. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I got Kyle Harrison. I needed a pitcher, young pitcher. And it seemed like a totally fair swap at the time. I think it still is in a dynasty league. You may even win that trade handily.
Yeah. Trust me, Dan doesn't value pitchers over position players. So in his mind, if they both turn into what they're supposed to be, you still win that trade, Atwater.
Oh, for sure. If they both emerge and end up what we would hope they are, you're going to win that deal. But I needed a pitcher right now, and I feel I'm ready to compete. I am competing. Is anybody emerging, guys, as a new ace?
Almost the entire Boston Red Sox. Tanner Howe, Cutter Crawford have been crazy good.
Keep going, and there's a guy in San Francisco that's thrown 19 scoreless innings in a row.
Who?
Guess who it is? Who's their ace?
Are you talking about Logan Webb?
Logan Webb.
But see, I don't think of him as an
emerging as an
emerging
ace. The
right.
guy's finished in the
That's
top.
why I was
I don't.
fooled. I was
I
like,
didn't say Logan. I didn't never said he was an ace. Neither did you. You know, he was never in the conversations. Webb was never.
What is he saying?
Actually, Ross.
Can we mute him?
Ross was you've been the highest on Logan Webb all along. So take your
I like
take
Logan
your
Webb,
credit
but
where
he's
it's
not
due.
an ace. He's not an ace.
Okay, I always agreed with that. I always agree with that, but he's pitching like an ace now.
But he's emerging as an ace now. He's emerging.
Right. Well, what about Ranger Suarez? I mean, he's pitching like an ace, but is it real?
I don't know. Well, Ranger Suarez was a high prospect coming up with the Phillies. He's a left-hander that gives you a leg up. I certainly think he's pitching well enough to be considered an ace. Do I think he's going to end the season with a 1.4 ERA or whatever it is? No, but he can keep it around 3 or lower than 3 as long as he keeps striking out a batter per inning, which he's doing right now, or just about. Like that's ace territory. The same can be said for Skubal if he can stay healthy. You know,
not only that, but
Logan Gilbert is emerging right now, I think.
Sure. I mean, I think some people felt like he was close to ace status anyway, but he wasn't yet.
I think Fastball Freddie got rocked today, but he was unbelievable.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah.
It was only a matter of time. But here's the thing that I like most about when I look at Ranger Suarez stats, the thing that I like the most is his strikeout to walk ratio. 32 strikeouts.
That's your thing. We call that the Ratner test. If you can more strikeouts than innings pitched, that's the Ratner test.
That's a general fantasy baseball test, as far as I'm concerned. But
we named it after you. Just take the compliment.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll take the compliment.
Jordan Hicks has been great so far, but he's not striking out a lot of guys.
No,
if I remember correctly, I'd have to look at his numbers, but
let me pull him up.
I'm happy for the guy. I think St. Louis really screwed him.
Yeah, and he's only throwing 5 innings or so per start, I think. Let me see.
And San Francisco is such a pitcher's ballpark. You know, it's so.
5 starts, 28 innings pitched, so less than 6 innings per start, and only 18 strikeouts in 28 innings.
The only thing is, that definitely is a little concerning. But the thing I'll say is he's always struck out more than a batter an inning.
Right, which is
the rest of the time.
But that was when he knew he only had to throw 17 pitches and he'd throw 104 miles an hour.
Right. Sometimes when a pitcher like really develops their craft, they actually get worse in the strikeout ratio because they may be conserving themselves or they need to show certain pitches at certain times.
But I own him. I like him, Chris. I agree with you that he's pitching great, but you need if you have a Jordan Hicks or a bunch of Jordan Hicks, then your relief pitchers better be the Reed Garrett type. Reed Garrett is the kid in New York Mets who I think like 12 innings pitched, 25 strikeouts. Like that's the guy who makes up for the lack of strikeouts you have on your starters.
Right. Meanwhile, Chris is noting that his ERA and WHIP is crazy.
Yeah.
And they have been. All right. Case, you are our resident prospect expert. What do the prospects look like right now? Who's coming up? Who should we be looking for?
Brandon Lau just got hurt. Brandon Lau, the second baseman it
was a guarantee
for the Diamondbacks, who's dealt with injuries his whole life. So Junior Caminero is in the minors down there wasting away. There's no reason they can't figure out a way to bring him up.
Tampa Bay,
Arizona. Yeah. Paul Skeens, we all know what he's done for the Pirates. Anybody who hasn't been paying attention, 2 strikeouts per inning, a .53 ERA, a .88 WHIP, crazy good numbers.
Casey, I got to admit, I mentioned Paul's going to be brought up by the NFL draft, and I was wrong on that. So
you were wrong, but not because
it takes the man to admit
what Pittsburgh should have done.
There's still a couple hours. He could be brought up before the NFL draft.
And the guy who I've been on for a few weeks now is Joey Loperfido, the outfielder, first baseman for the Houston Astros. Jose Abreu, as anybody who's watched, is absolutely done. The Astros are like 9 games under 500 right now. So they need an injection of life and energy.
They're 10 games under 500. Get it right.
9 times.
By the way, he tied Yordan Alvarez in the record book for round trippers in March and April for the Astros minor leaguers. He's got 12 already. 12 home runs, an 1100 OPS. It's just insane.
He has looked great. Here's the just playing devil's advocate, I'm not saying he's not a good player, and I think you know this, but his batting average has dropped 50 points in the last like week and a half, and he strikes out like 38% of the time. So you're probably not going to get a good batting average.
But if you get look at what Jose Abreu's numbers are.
Oh, no, I mean, the Astros, it's a no-brainer. But I'm saying as a fantasy player.
Yeah, but if let's say it's a 250 average, but he's hitting 35 home runs.
Well, look, even if it's a 230 average,
right,
you're getting Kyle Schwarber possibly.
Yeah.
So
this guy can run. He's Mr. Trout on the minors. I mean, this guy's the machine.
And then if you look at like Tyler Black, the kid from Milwaukee, his numbers are insane, and his strikeout to walk ratio is almost 1-to-1. And they are competitive right now, and they could use him at second or third base. So those are some names to know. Povich, the pitcher for the Orioles, I think it's Cade Povich is the Orioles.
Maury
Povich, yes.
Or
yes.
Maury's cousin. He is this power lefty who's striking out the world. So there's some names out there. Orelvis Martinez is a shortstop for the Blue Jays. We all know how anemic the Blue Jays offense has been going right now. This year in the minors, 6 home runs, only 19 strikeouts, and the same amount of that, 6 walks to 19 strikeouts. That's a 316 average. So Kyle Manzardo of your Guardians. Now, the problem for Manzardo, as you know, is Nelis has been awesome at first base for them.
Yeah, Naylor's been
I'm sorry,
doing well. Yeah,
he's good average, good power, good leadership. So unless he can play a different position, or they decide to open up the DH spot for he and Naylor to switch on and off.
All right, what about this one? Chris Atwater says, "What do you think of Roman Anthony? I love this guy, and he's super young." And Ross, of course, you can answer this too. Just because Casey's our resident prospect expert doesn't mean you have to sit, idly by.
Casey knows a lot more talent than I do.
I mean, Casey just is very, very.
I know some of the college kids, but that's
Roman Anthony, for those of you who don't know, is an outfielder in the Red Sox system. I think he's in Double-A right now. Good power guy, decent hit guy. I mean, all around, he's a really good player. I don't know how. I don't have exactly what his stats are for Portland right now. The Sea Dogs, I believe he plays for. He's 19 years old though, and he's a straight out of high school draftee. So I'm not sure if he's number 2 in their system. I think I'm not sure how soon he is for the majors. I'm trying to talk about players who are close to the majors right now or could make an impact. If I'm in Dynasty, Roman Anthony is absolutely a guy I'm looking at, because in 2 or 3 years, he's got that power speed combo that you look for, the Kyle Tucker type, although I believe he's right-handed, if I'm remembering correctly. So I like him though. But it doesn't surprise me that Atwater's finding a Red Sox prospect to ask.
Well, he's right-handed, but he bats lefty.
Marcelo Mayer is a good one too, if you're looking at Red Sox prospects.
Yep.
Nantucket is AAA.
Meanwhile, the Orioles seem to be calling up player after player, these great players. So who's the latest?
The latest is Heston Kjerstad, who, like, if you look at his numbers in the minors, they were like video game worthy with regards to home runs, RBIs, batting average, the whole 9 yards. He's not going to steal bags. He's just not. They also have Kobe Mayo down there, the third baseman, who's just destroying the baseball.
That's amazing that you would have a player of the caliber of Kobe Mayo just wasting away with all the people.
Let me ask you guys a question. I mean, just have an open mind. Don't think I'm crazy. Well, you guys already think I'm crazy. You guys are both doctors. You guys.
We got there because we had an open mind. All right. Right.
Yeah, we both called me crazy. So last year the Angels messed up. They didn't trade Ohtani, and they got basically nothing for him when signed with the Dodgers. Okay. So this year, Mike Trout is having a great year. He's stealing bases again. He's hitting home runs. He's on a tear. He's leading the major leagues in home runs. Don't you think a perfect place for him to go would be Baltimore? Case young prospects who they have no room, right?
But who
they can win now? It's Mike Trout. They can win now.
They are winning. They are winning now.
Okay,
that's the problem. Okay. And it's a stadium that is terrible for right-handed power hitters. Like if I was Houston looking to get back into the division, Mike Trout is the guy I would want there. Imagine him hitting into those Crawford boxes if he can stay healthy, hitting in between Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez. You put Mike Trout right in there with Jose Abreu leading off. Like, to me, that's the type of situation I would want. Trust me. Is he better than Colton Cowser? Yes, he's better than Colton Cowser. Is he better than Cedric Mullins? Probably. Is he better than Santander? Yes. But they also have Heston Kjerstad. Like, they have so many players. They'd have to trade like people who are playing at an all-star level on the major league roster to get.
But there's two questions there. You know, I think Ross was kind of asking a separate question, which is, should the Angels wait on dealing him? Because they waited.
No, they should deal him right now.
Right.
Yeah,
and there's going to be,
but they're not going to. And I don't know if he has a no trade clause. I think he does, and he's hinted in the past that he doesn't want to leave Anaheim.
I mean, look, if he truly doesn't want to leave, then sign him to a new contract.
Imagine if the Phillies would trade Andrew Painter and somebody else, some other prospect, Mac Abel or somebody like that, for Trout, Mick Abel,
and they have something about a prospect you didn't.
And they had Harper, him batting back to back with Trey Turner at the top of the lineup, and those guys behind him, JT Realmuto and the Brandon Marsh and anybody.
That's one of those things that would be so weird to see him in,
because Trout and Harper came up at the same time. They were like the American League and National League versions of themselves, and so to see him on the same team.
Chris Atwater says Mike Trout trade needs to include a box of Super Pretzels. I'm sure they can get it done.
I don't get. Is he like sponsored by Super Pretzel or something?
I don't know.
I don't get the.
Chris, elaborate.
Wait, I know what that is.
Is that like his favorite snack?
Trout. There's something that correlates somehow. I forgot what it is. I saw it somewhere.
All right, Chris, elaborate for us. You're in the know in some way that we've missed the boat.
I can't remember. Okay, keep going.
All right, let's shift over to your annoying closer of the week. Who is it? There's always somebody. Closers are just brutal. Oh, Chris Atwater says that he was their spokesperson and on the box.
Yeah.
So I think they can get it done.
Commercialism too. I think that's
annoying closer of the week. Who's it going to be? I'll give you an annoying holds guy of the week who I just cut. It's Aroldis Chapman. He's terrible. I mean, he's now walking almost as many batters as he's striking out. His ERA is over 6.
When the Pirates signed him, I kind of shook my head. I'm just wondering, why would they sign a guy that's an older closer that has no control, that blows games? In the last couple of years, he's been horrible. And Casey can testify. He was a Yankee. I mean, he was horrible.
Yeah, the last 3 years he was a Yankee. He was terrible. So
horrible. I mean, in Kansas City he was bad. I mean, wherever he goes, he's bad. And he throws hard.
I'm gonna pull up just how bad he's been. Actually, he was pretty decent last year.
In Kansas City, he was okay. Yeah,
but he was blowing out. I mean, he was just blowing a lot of. Every time I turned the TV, he was walking somebody, getting in trouble in the 9th or 8th inning.
I mean, maybe so, but he pitched 58 innings last year and struck out 103 batters. 20 walks.
How many walks?
20.
Okay.
That's not too bad. On 103 strikeouts, 3.09 ERA. His whip was, I don't have it listed here. I'll get back to you on that, but it looks like he was pretty good last year.
Okay. I just remember watching games.
I still don't know why they signed him. It seems like a kind of crazy signing for the Pirates, but
it's just a weird thing for Pittsburgh. I mean, they have so much young talent. Why are they wasting a roster spot on him?
Right. His whip was 122, which for a reliever is
not good.
Great. No, it's not very good.
So with my reliever, that I mean, a lot of the relievers last week kind of did their job for me. I didn't really see anybody that really blew that many games before. A lot of the guys are doing a lot better. Diaz for the Reds.
It feels like some of the closers are finally settling in.
Yeah, I think they're settling in. And also Jordan Romano's back. Seawald's coming back for Arizona. I mean, there's a lot of young closers that are quickly. So hopefully they'll be more stable. I mean, Chad Green, who was closing for Toronto, he's on the DL now. It's just so it's.
I'm going to say the annoying closer of the week is Garrett Clevenger.
I love Garrett Clevenger. What he
reason you believe he's been awesome.
Oh, so he's annoying because he's not on your team?
Because
did he blow a save or something? What did he do?
No, he hasn't blown anything. But I'm just saying, like, when you asked who, like, Tampa Bay's closer was going to be at the beginning of the year.
Oh yeah, I think we could say that the Tampa Bay closer could be the annoying closer of the week because, I mean, I cut what's his name, Fairbanks. I cut him because he's injured and was pitching terribly. I have Jason Adam, and he got a 2
Is that how you pronounce it? Adam, not Adam.
I thought it was Adam, but I'm not sure.
That's fine. I always call him Adam. That's how dumb I am.
Well, I'm just listen. Maybe he's Adam, but I'm Jewish, so I'm just gonna call him Adam. It makes him sound Israeli. But he got a 2-inning hold, which, by the way, that's not bad, especially in our league because we have a hold league. But you can. It's like Ross said, you cannot trust Tampa Bay like with how they utilize any of these players. All right, Ross, we're getting close to Memorial Day. We're not. Well, Memorial Day is still
a month away.
Yeah. Last week of April.
I mean, we're getting close to Mother's Day.
So you actually literally wait 2 whole months until you evaluate whether people.
That's my rule. I mean, that's what I do. I wait till Memorial Day. To me, symbolizes. I look at my fantasy team and the guys that aren't producing, I get rid of, and I try to replace with people that are on the. That's what I try to do, but I try to give some players, especially leagues guys.
I'm a May 1st kind of guy.
See, I'm more like May 1st, maybe first week of May.
That's 6 weeks. I mean,
that's fine.
Chris Atwater says, I went after a holds guy with Jojo Romero. So far, so good, but it's early. Yeah, and hopefully these guys can deliver. One problem I always have with relievers, though, unless they have a lot of track record of success, is 1 or 2 blow-ups. And they just weren't even worth having in the first place. It's crazy how that goes. But I'm more of a early May guy to start evaluating. I got to say, this is just, you got to know yourself as a fantasy player. I have a quick trigger. I do. If somebody is bothering me on my team, I'm just like, get them off my team. If they're untradeable, but like I almost cut Blake Snell recently.
He's something IL.
Well, I stuck him on the IL now. Yeah, but before he was on the IL, I literally almost cut him. And here's why.
What kind of league? Which league? In the Dynasty League?
It's in the Dynasty League that has quality starts, and he never has quality starts.
Even when he's doing well.
Even when he does well.
He pitches 5 innings, and that's it.
And he's pitching terribly, and now he's injured. So it's like, do I even bother to stash? Let me ask you guys.
I would have cut him.
You'd have cut him by now.
I'd have tried to trade him for a prospect.
Just so I can tell you're not going to get anything from right now. You're out of your mind. I mean, you look at his stats and you laugh. I don't think Chris Atwater would give.
Actually, I got to agree with Ross. He's been so bad that I just don't even think you can get anything from him yet. If he shows if he has 1 good game, then you could probably get a prospect for him.
Did he win the Cy Young last year? Was he a Cy Young? Didn't he win the Cy Young last year?
He did.
He won the Cy Young last year, but he didn't.
After a month of baseball,
he won the Cy Young like 6 years ago, but the 4 years in between, he was awful.
Yeah. And, even when he's good, he just walks so many guys. And
he pitches less 5 or 6 innings, and he's a
nibbler.
His strikeouts are down, and it's everything you want from a pitcher he doesn't have anymore.
Remember when the Rays took him out early in the World Series? But
remember, I was at
it was late. It was late for Snell. When did they take him out?
6th inning.
Like in the 6th inning
with a 1-hitter or something.
And I was
like,
sitting
this
there
guy's
with
gone
a
as
buddy
far
of
as he can
mine,
go.
and I'm not a Dodger fan, but I just looked at it. I said the Dodgers just won the game. I said, why are they taking out Snell when he's pitching like a 1-hitter? It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, that was.
I would cut Cortez for Rodon.
You would. I would cut them both. But if I was going to keep one of them, I'd actually keep Cortez. I know Rodon's got that big upside, but I just can't wait around for it. And
what was his last start? Wasn't it awesome?
Cortez has that cool mustache, though. I mean,
it was. I didn't notice.
Yeah. I like Cortez.
Let's check. You're going to check what Rodon did last game?
Last start was 7 innings, 0 earned runs, .43 whip, 4 strikeouts.
And who is he facing?
Oakland, a devastating lineup.
Double A team.
I just don't trust the guy. I'm not saying look, is he worthy of a roster spot? Certainly in 12-team leagues, but I don't know. 10-team league, he's really pushing it in terms of whether he's rostered.
Look, I mean, his stats the last 30 days.
Go ahead.
26 innings, 22 strikeouts, 2.7 ERA, The whip is not great at 1.3.
Well,
No, but the VRA is good.
But that's the last month. I mean, so it's
And-
not like he's been as bad as people thought he was.
I
No,
agree,
that's
Casey.
true.
I agree.
That's kinda
And the Yankees
surprising to
need
me, though.
Yankees need guys
Nestor
like that.
Cortez. Let's
check
see
on
what
Nestor
his-
Cortez.
Yep.
I mean, I'm surprised to hear those numbers, but I cut Rodon, and then he had a good start. Then he had a bad start. So he's had 2 out of 3 good starts since I cut him.
Yeah.
Let me
Last
see.
30 days for him. 3.4 ERA. He has a little bit better whip, a worse ERA. Cortez.
I trust the whip more than the ERA. I mean, Carlos Rodon has a 1.35 whip on the season.
Yes.
He just seems to me like he's walked 13 batters and struck out 22.
Can I ask a
I
fairly
think he's going to implode.
Can I ask a fairly uncomfortable question in today's environment?
Sure, I think
I'm
so.
comfortable. I can't wait for this.
If I run out of screen, don't mind me.
Given all of the people who have been accused, tried, and found guilty of domestic violence and still given a second chance in the major leagues, why isn't Trevor Bauer pitching in the major leagues right now?
It is really interesting.
And also the girl that accused him of it was lying. She's going to go to jail.
Right. That's what I
how-
mean. Like it would, like the accusations were literally proven to be false against him.
Yeah.
Do you want me
And
to answer
yet,
that question? I can
You
answer
can't get it. I don't understand. Like the Yankees lose Garrett Cole. You can get Trevor Bauer for the league minimum.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I don't know if you saw the
I know
piece
he's
on-
not considered very coachable.
He's not
But the guy won a
coachable.
Cy Young in the Great American Ballpark, like the hardest ballpark for
The
pitchers.
only Red ever to win a Cy Young. The only Red ever to win a Cy Young.
Come on, it doesn't make sense.
He's pitching the Mexican League. He had
and dominating, by the way.
shockingly.
He shut down the Dodgers when he pitched against
I think
them.
people are just afraid. They're afraid of protesting. I don't know what it is.
But the Yankees took Aroldis Chapman after he shot his gun in the garage because he was mad at his wife. Domingo Germán after he beat the crap and got felony domestic violence charges. They took them both back.
Right.
You know,
I don't know. There's weird, like certain players become just radioactive. And I mean, Trevor Bauer's suspension was, nobody else has had that kind of suspension. Now,
right.
I'm not weighing in on if he had done it, should the suspension be that large. I'm all for,
right,
proper punishment for that. But it seems weird. It just seems to me that he's pissed off the wrong people.
That Yankees fans, and being a Yankee fan, that Yankees fans would jump ship if they signed Trevor Bauer.
I mean, don't you think
fear these groups getting involved, and I just don't think they want the headache and the whole situation that comes with Trevor Bauer.
Here's what I will tell you: if George Steinbrenner was still the owner, they'd have Trevor Bauer right now.
I can believe that.
When
I'm glad you're asking this question.
The Reds would have Trevor Bauer right.
Marge Schott would have brought him back.
Marge Schott would have gave him a Rolls Royce. Love him. What do you?
I don't understand.
He has no soul.
Well, also, like when his suspension's over, I imagine nobody's going to bring him back then.
It is over.
Right? Yeah, it's over.
He was reinstated last offseason.
5 months.
Yeah,
it's been over for a while. He's pitching in the Mexican League. Do you guys ever watch Eastbound and Down?
Yep.
Remember the year he went? Danny McBride. Remember the year he went to the Mexican League? Well, that's what he's pitching in some league where he, it's.
Listen, here's my talent.
You're telling me with all the elbow injuries to major pitchers, and you have a prime aged Cy Young winner sitting out there for a league minimum, nobody's taking him.
I mean, he's been blacklisted.
It feels collusive.
Yeah.
I think that it is. I think he pissed off the wrong people, and they are not going to let him back in.
I know he's always been enigmatic, and kind of like past managers or pitching coaches have complained about that he won't do their routine. He insists on doing his own routine. But if you get results,
I mean, pitchers have been like that throughout their careers.
I mean, he was traded from Arizona to Cleveland, Cincinnati. I mean, he would spend the team just because his attitude is horrible. I mean, he's not a team player. He
left for LA from Cincinnati because Cincinnati wouldn't give him the contract he deserved. I don't think that was an attitude related thing.
Well, I actually think, I mean, I've seen lots of interviews with Trevor Bauer, and I think that he won't bend to what people try to make him bend to. And I actually think that's to his credit.
Yeah, he's not going to apologize for a consensual relationship that ended in false allegations.
Yeah.
I mean, when he was at UCLA, the coach said, okay, everybody take a lap around the field. And Trevor said, I'm not taking a lap. My dad, I have a program. I don't take laps. And the coach
I mean, and I could see that could be that he definitely rubs some people the wrong way, and probably for good reason. Like if you're trying to coach a team and the player's doing that, it's not easy on your team.
I'm sorry. But how many athletes do we know or are aware of that are impossible as a teammate?
Well, Trevor Bauer's, he behaves like a wide receiver.
Terrell Owens always had a job, right? To go to wide receivers, right?
It's different. I mean, different leagues are different. Here's another weird question. Why in the NFL does a guy like Josh Gordon, who smokes some pot, get banned for life?
For pot,
and then
which is now legal
remember Ray Rice? They had to put up a real stink to get it past a 4-game suspension.
I know.
There's something weird, the valuations are strange.
If we're getting off topic, so I won't get into the Ray Rice stuff, but I have plenty of thoughts and opinions about that.
All right,
because that was the same time as Adrian Peterson for child abuse because he hit his kid with a switch, like he used a switch.
Yeah, but the difference was there was no video of that happening. They had the video of him hitting the girl and knocking her out. I mean, that was guilty.
I mean,
wasn't that Kareem Hunt in college?
Kareem Hunt too.
Yep.
But they didn't knock out the girl. He knocked out. He just punched her.
Oh, well, yeah, just punched her.
He didn't have as good of a right hook
for me to run off the screen.
As Ray Rice. Yeah.
He did get suspended.
Let's jump. I'm glad you brought up this.
Ray Rice was a lot more violent. I felt it was a lot more violent than
it's certainly. I mean, it's a very violent.
To me, it
video.
was.
Let's jump back to some players that are off to hot starts and whether you believe they're going to stay this way or not. I'll throw out a couple names. You guys tell me what you think.
Yeah, best player in baseball.
I'm pretty sure he's
every stat.
He's probably not going to 370, but Kettle Marte, is it going to stay this way?
He's playing great, right?
He's batting 350. Well. He's playing great.
I don't think he's going to stay 350, but this guy has been a 30 home run.
Oh no, I'm sorry, 320. I was looking at Altuve.
Yeah, I think he's a 300 hitter. I don't see it going. He might go into the 290s at some point, just because people go through strikeout fits, but I mean, he's proven he's a good player. He had a couple bad years.
He's a streaky player, though. I mean,
yeah, but I'd rather have him than a lot of others.
He is the Blake Snell of hitters.
He's a potential 30-30 guy every year.
Not every year. He's
not 30.
Every year he has the potential. Right. Okay, I got it.
I'd say 30-20 myself, but
yeah, I mean, he is kind of like.
Yes, I like Marte. I think he's a really good player, top 5.
I mean, if you see him looking this good, it looks like this is going to be one of his good
top 5.
William Contreras, he's tearing the cover off the ball and from the catcher position.
And he leads off.
He was my number 2 catcher or number 1 catcher in preseason. So yeah, I think he's legit.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's still going to fade because he's a catcher. They're going to get tired over time doing what they're doing. But I think
I'd rather have
real
the Dodgers. Will Smith as. That's 4th with the lineup of Mookie, Freeman, and Ohtani. He's the 4th hitter, which means he'll probably have his own base, which means a lot of RBIs.
Yep.
But sure. I like Will Smith better than Contreras, but that's me.
How about Jordan Westberg?
I don't know if he can keep this up, but I mean, he came up with prospect pedigree as being a big hitter, and he did well last year with it in the beginning with his cup of coffee with the Orioles. So, the problem for him is going to be finding at bats on that team because,
if he hits like this, he's not going to have a problem finding at bats. But I understand your point.
Bro. Yeah, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt that Holiday is like 2 for 40 or whatever he is, 1 for 33. I forget what it was, but but when you have that lineup, it's just this. How long of a leash will he have for the inevitable slump where you go 1 for 17? Like whatever it might be. Are they going to keep plugging him away and give him that patience? Or are they going to say, all right, never mind, Kierstead is the first baseman, Mountcastle, you're the DH, or whatever they do, and all of a sudden Westberg isn't getting but 2 games a week?
Meanwhile,
Casey, the Cubs brought up Casey yesterday and the day before. They brought up their first baseman Mervis, who's been killing
Matt
the
Mervis.
ball.
Matt Mervis, yes,
been killing the ball. Brought up
Mervis Ellison.
Brought up Crow Armstrong too.
Did they call up
brought him
Peter
up
Crow
too.
Armstrong?
Yeah, they brought him up too.
I didn't hear that. Wow,
he's been struggling.
PCA, we call him. Yeah, they brought both of them up in the back. So, what's your thought on those two guys, Casey? And I
love Peter Crow Armstrong's tools. I don't think he's going to be good this year. I just don't. I don't think he's ready yet. But I do like. I mean, long term, he's a 5-tool player who has the pedigree and the track record. But I don't think he's ready yet. Mervis is a typical kind of corner outfielder. He could be Ryan Mountcastle, which is 20 to 25 home runs and a 260 batting average, 270. Best case scenario is Jake Berger, 270 with 35 home runs. Not going to give you any speed. But, he's certainly worth owning over some other first baseman that you might have.
All right, let me ask this. Alec Baum, to me, he's been a tease. He shows these great signs, and then
I hope he's figuring it out, because
he's showing great signs again. But is it for real?
I don't know at this point. The answer has to be for all of us. None of us know. We're just guessing. But I mean, the kid's talent. We've always, since he came up as a rookie, we were like, here's the next great third baseman in the lineage of third baseman. You go Scott Rowland, Mike Schmidt. I don't think Mike Schmidt is a fair comparison, but we thought he was going to be a Scott Rowland type when he came up. We thought he was a 30 home run guy. I mean, he's been hitting homers for the last couple of weeks pretty well. So I'm hoping he figured it out, because the Phillies.
Well, he had this one game where he hit 2 homers, and he really hasn't hit a lot of homers.
He had 2 3-run homers in that game.
Right.
That's
carrying him a lot. But listen, I would not.
One was the opposite field.
I would not be surprised if he has arrived, and I also would not be surprised if he fades back to a guy with a 750 OPS who goes on and off of
20 home runs. Right. Yeah.
Right. Like at a time like this, what I would say is don't trade for him now. Don't trade for a guy like Alec Baum because he's killing the ball.
He's too expensive for right now. Wait till he slumps.
For his risk.
Yeah.
Right. How about Lourdes Gurriel?
I love that kid. I loved him.
I do too. He's a professional hitter.
He's a gamer. 25. He can give you 25 home runs, 20 stolen bases. Is he going to win a batting title? No, but he's going to bat 260 and above, I think, for the most part.
I actually think his batting average is one of his best assets. He usually hits pretty well.
And he's in Arizona, which is just a hitter's park, man. Like, why wouldn't you want to have a piece of – now, Arizona's not their lineup all in all. I know Corbin Carroll's been pretty bad, but Gurriel, he's just a good young player. I just think he's –
But legit. As a fantasy player, we've seen him do – it's similar to Baum to me. Don't buy him now. He can fade on you. And so you just got to watch it.
That's possible.
How about Josh Naylor?
Well, why don't you? We'll ask you that question.
Well, you're the Guardians guy.
I mean, okay, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm the expert on it. I think we're definitely seeing signs of him emerging as a real fantasy player. That I don't see Josh Naylor being on a waiver wire anytime soon. Whereas before this season, he was a mid-season pickup last year.
Yeah.
So I think he's here to stay. I'd be surprised, having seen him hit, unless he's developed more in the last, 6 months or something like that, if he keeps his average up that high. But
yeah, I mean, he's not going to be Jim Thome. Like, you're not.
But when Jim Thome came up, his average was terrible.
Oh yeah, I know. Or Travis, wasn't it Hafner was the other the big lefty DH you guys had?
Do you remember his nickname? One of the best nicknames of all time.
Shrek, wasn't it?
No, Pronk.
Pronk. That's what I knew.
Project Pronk. And Donkey combined. Pronk.
Yeah, Donk.
We've got Jamal Abdul Bassett has joined us. Jamal, you're one of our biggest fans. We love hearing from you. He says, "What up? Do you guys think Jordan Westbrook is for real? He sure seems like it early on. I do think he's for real.
Like talked about him. Casey, give your quick analogy.
Go ahead.
Great player, hitting great now. Did it in the minors, so he was a big prospect. Only concern is going to be how deep and awesome that lineup is. Are they going to be patient enough if he goes into a slump, which every batter does?
Well, right. I was going to say, he hasn't done it for a full season, so mentally these hitters, they're going to have a slump at some point. I say push through it. I do think he's for real, and certainly in keeper and dynasty leagues, you want him on your team. But even in a redraft league, stick through any slump.
Best case scenario is the Orioles realize they need one more starter to solidify their dominance in the American League, and they trade 2 or 3 of these prospects, and all of them end up with plenty of playing time. Worst case scenario is they don't trade any of them, and he is only playing 70% of the time. But I think he's absolutely worth owning in every kind of fantasy baseball league there is out there, and a must start right now.
All right, I'm going to ask 2 more players, and we'll wrap up on for today. Bryce Terang. What do we think about what he's going to continue doing?
He was the hottest. He was the hottest hitter in baseball first week.
He was such a sell high candidate early on,
right? But now with his base stealing, he's coming back to earth. But he's still a valuable player. I don't expect.
He's the second. He's in the second National League to De La Cruz in stolen bases. I mean, the guy.
Yeah, he's got 12 stolen bases, and he's batting .320. He plays both middle infield positions in Yahoo. So, I mean, I would want him on my team. That's for sure. I kept saying,
let's say he has another couple. Let's say he has 15 steals in April. So April, July, August, September. So this guy could have like 80 stolen.
He's stealing a ton of bases. Now,
70.
The best case scenario is either, Willy Adames gets hurt and he's guaranteed playing time, something, or a trade is made. But I mean, I love the kid.
I put him in the same camp as like Alec Baum. I'm probably not trading for him unless I can get him for cheap, because people don't trust his playing time or something like that. But I do want him on my team for sure. I'll ask one more. Riley Green. Ross, you were all over Riley Green coming into this year.
Guys, in all seriousness, the whole Detroit team is bad. They can't hit. I mean, all this potential.
Well, Green is hitting.
I think they're all buy low. I think they're buy low.
They're all buy low. I mean, they're not hitting up to their potential. Not even close.
Well, what's
not scoring runs?
I mean, Riley Green is ranked.
What's Riley hitting?
He's only batting .244, but he's ranked 53rd in Yahoo already.
I'm 71st.
But I'm just saying the whole Detroit team is awful. I mean, they're not hitting at all.
He scored 21 runs.
Colorado's bad too. Colorado's horrible too.
Well, Colorado is horrible.
But I mean, usually in that ballpark, they can't even score runs in that ballpark.
By the way, Ronald Acuna is all the way up to ranked 52nd in Yahoo. He'll be shooting up the charts.
I know.
Yeah, he'll hit. Don't worry about him.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up.
We're gonna trade for him. I couldn't get him.
Yeah, trade for Trout. Listen, just
I tried. No one. No one to trade with.
Especially not in a dynasty league, but maybe in a redraft league. But even then, he's got too much upside. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up here. Next week, we've got our usual slate. We got Casey and Ross on Tuesdays. That's 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Also, we'll be back with our strategy show on Thursday. I hope you guys enjoy the NFL draft. Put your comments below. We love talking to you. Let us know what you think, and we will see you soon.
I want to say one thing about the NFL draft. I have a feeling that, listen, it's just a hunch. I think this kid from USC, Caleb Williams, I think he'll be the first.
You think he's going to go number one?
Brendan Rice?
I think Jerry? It's another conversation. I think Williams will go first. That's my prediction. It's a bold prediction.
I think an Arizona State Sun Devil will be traded tonight during the draft.
Brandon Ayuk, that's what he's talking about. Brandon Ayuk.
Yep. All right. Well, I think Caleb Williams number one is probably a good bet considering they traded Justin Fields for a bag of groceries.
Okay.
I think they're going to go with Spencer Rattler, number one.
All right, guys. We will see you same time next week. Although check out Casey and Ross's waiver wire show on Tuesdays as well. Put your comments below. We love talking to you. Thanks, guys. Casey, Ross, signing off.